Hi, my name is Bernie Josep M. Persha, and today we're going to discuss about the different elements of art. Before we go ahead and proceed to our lesson, let me ask you, what is your favorite dish? Of course, here in the Philippines, we love adobo, but adobo can never be the same without one ingredient. Like imagine adobo without vinegar, or imagine adobo without soy sauce. Yes, there are many alternatives to soy sauce that can make adobo salty, but it will never be the same if one ingredient is missing, right? It will never taste the same if something is missing. Just like in the arts, art will never be art without the different elements of art. So let's go ahead and discuss the different elements that make art art. All right, let's go to the different elements of art. Let's see. There you go. The different elements of art. We have seven different elements of art. These are. See, let me go ahead and check this for you. All right. We have 7 building blocks of art. These elements are also called or referred to as building blocks of art, because we cannot be able to come up with art without any of these elements. It is very important to have these elements so we can be able to produce an artwork. And first of them is line, followed by shape. We also have form. Space is also very important, as well as color, value, and texture. But let's go ahead and check the first element of art, which is line. Okay, a line is referring to a point moving to an identified path, meaning there's a definite path or is going to a direction. It has length and direction. It also directs the eyes to follow direction. Say, for example, let me show you an illustration or a sample visual. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a dot. Okay, but if it's moving to a certain direction and marked with the use of a pen, a marker, a pencil, or whatever marking tool you have there, it can produce a line. All right? A line is a moving point, or a point moving to a certain path or direction. Okay? See? 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 See, I was able to produce different kinds of line. And when we say different kinds of line has so many variations or so many kinds or so many properties. Let's go ahead and discuss the different kinds of line that are present in the arts. Okay, first we have horizontal and vertical lines. When we say horizontal, these are the lines that are, of course, moving from left to right. All right? Or right to left. And when we say vertical, these are lines that are upwards or downwards. Vertical, this is vertical line. And this is horizontal line. As you can see in our example, the first example, vertical, is illustration of vertical line. You see, vertical line are the pink lines, and the pink lines on the other example is the horizontal line that are running towards the running across the screen. If it's running upward or downward, it's vertical. Okay? Pag pataas pababa, it's vertical. Pag pakanan, pakaliwa o pakaliwa pakanan, it's horizontal. Alright? Now, let's go ahead and proceed to the next kind of line. It's called diagonal or crooked lines. When we say diagonal, it's slanted or is leaning towards a direction. It's not straight. Alright? And when we say crooked or jagged lines, these are lines that are going up, down, or down and up, or we sometimes call them zigzags. Alright? Next, we have curved lines. Of course, curved lines are not straight lines, but are leaning towards a direction. Well, can you very well tell the difference between a plain diagonal line and a curved line? Yes, a curve is curving towards a direction, while a diagonal line is just a straight line that's leaning towards another direction. Okay, and there are different properties of line as well. We have thick and thin line, we have extra thick line, we have thick line, medium line, and thin lines. All right. We also have spiral lines, or the lines that looks like a spring. Okay, of course, I bet you already know what the spring is, but these spiral lines are considered lines because, of course, they start with a dot or a point, and it moves to a certain direction. And that is why a spiral line is also considered a kind of line. We also have overlapping lines. All right, overlapping lines, from the term itself, overlap. They overlap or they cross each other's path or direction. These are several lines that cross each other's path or direction. They overlap. Okay? Ito yung mga pinagtagpo pero di tinadhana. Yun lang. Nagtakpo lang sila somewhere. Okay? Next, we have gestural lines. Usually, these lines are fast, are produced quickly or by just sketching out, or gestural lines also sometimes can be lines that depict movement. Okay? Gestural lines. As you can see in the illustration, these are sketches that have gestural lines. They depict or they show movement or motion. Next, we have dotted and dashed lines. As you will see, the first kind of dotted line is there. There you go. We have the densely dotted, okay, the densely dotted, and we have the densely dashed dotted, meaning it's a combination of dash and dots. When we say dash, okay, when we say dash, these are short lines, okay, dash. And when we say dot, these are just dots. And if it's dash dotted, it's basically a combination of dashes and dots. All right. The second example is densely dotted. When we say densely dotted, these are lines that are densely put beside each other to produce a line. Okay? And next, densely dashed line. A densely dashed line is a combination of several dashes that produce a line. As you can see there, there's no dot. There are all dashes, and a combination of dashes that can produce line is called a densely dashed line. Loosely dashed dotted, it's not densely, they're not compressed, they're loose. They're a little more sporadic compared to the densely dashed dotted. Okay, it's densely dashed dotted, but it's loose. All right, as if it's stretched out. All right, we have loosely dashed. It's just densely dashed, but it's stretched as well. It's far more. They're far more further. I mean, they're further from each other. All right. Next, we have dash dotted. Dash dotted is just a normal combination of dash and dots. And we also have dotted, dashed, and of course we have the normal lines. It's just a normal line, okay? And let's go to the next kind of line. Let me show you the next slide. Alright, we have smooth and textured lines. Okay, let's see. When we say smooth and textured lines, these are lines that are smooth lines are lines that show smoothness. They're just smooth lines. They're just plain lines. They're just clean lines. Whatever line it is, it's just smooth. But if it's textured, it conveys an illusion that it has texture. Let's go back. That it has texture. Okay? There. Okay, you see texture. And smooth lines are basically just smooth lines. Plain lines. Alright? Okay. Let's move to the next kind of line. We have contour lines. Contour lines are lines that show the contours of an object. They basically trace the sides or contours of an object, and when you combine the different contours of an object, you can be able to come up with an illustration like this. Okay? Next, we also have blind contour lines. Let's see. Blind contour lines. Okay. Yeah, right. Blind contour lines. These are lines that are drawn. Lines that are drawn. Okay. These are lines that are drawn without looking at the paper. Blind contour. If it's just a contour line, you can be able to come up with a drawing just like the previous example, like this one. You may do this. You may do this by looking at the paper where you're drawing at. But if it's a blind contour, you draw something without actually looking at the paper where you're drawing at. Okay, where you're, for example, it may look like these illustrations right here. Okay, blind contour. It's drawing without looking. Blind, from the term blind. You don't see where you are putting the lines on your canvas or paper. Okay, now let's skip this part because this is an activity for my students. Okay. Let's now proceed to the next. There. Let's now proceed to the next element of art. Okay. The next element of art that we have is shape and form. We're done with line. You already know the different kinds of line. Now we have shape and form. Okay, when we say shape and form, these two are very related to each other in the sense that they define the space occupied by the object of art. Shape has two dimensions or dimensions. It has height and width. All right. Now, form has three dimensions. It has height, width, and depth. All right. When we say shape, it's just a basic shape. It's flat on a flat surface. It does not have depth. And when we say form, it's a shape, but it has another dimension called depth. It is basically a form. It's 3D. It's three-dimensional. Okay? And when we say shape, a shape is formed when a beginning of a line meets or connects to or connects with an end. All right, let me show you an illustration. Okay, let's make a line. This is a line. Okay, let's make another line. Okay, and let's make another line. When these lines meet, you come up with a shape. All right, we're able to come up with a triangle. Okay, let's see. We have different kinds of shape. And back in the lower grades, you already have discussed the different kinds of shape. I bet you already know. Triangle, rectangle, squares, you have circles, right? Etc., etc. These are called geometric shapes. They originated from mathematical propositions, all right? And when we say organic shapes, these are shapes that are irregular. Usually these shapes are those shapes occurring in nature. And they're asymmetrical, and sometimes they have no definite shape. Okay, let's dig deeper to this topic. These are examples of geometric shapes. Okay. All right. Okay. These are example of geometric shapes. Okay. We have squares. We have a square, circle, squares, circle, triangle, rectangle, scalene, pentagon, right triangle, trapeze, kite, blah, 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 and yada, 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 yada. These are geometric shapes, okay? These are the basic flat shapes. While the the organic shapes, when we say organic, it's, let's see, it's more of irregular. Okay, an example is the shape of a leaf, the outline or contours of hand, trees, shape of a snail, shape of a flower, or any kind of irregular shape. Okay, they don't follow a certain mathematical proposition. Okay, we're done with shape. Let's go with form. Form is three-dimensional. It has height. It has height. It has width. All right, and it also has depth. See, it's not. They don't appear to be flat surfaces. It has dimension. And when a shape is combined with another shape, it produces a form. Okay? When you combine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares, it forms a cube. Right? Or when you combine different several triangles, you come up with a pyramid or a cone, right? Next, we are now down to the last part, to the next part, or the next element of art. We have space. Okay, space. Space is usually inferred from a sense of depth, real or simulated. It's basically the concept of space or distance, or just how you occupy it, or how an artwork is occupied by different elements. Space. Okay, let's see. We have positive space and negative space. Let me show you a positive space. On this illustration, you see a candle holder. Okay, this is the positive space. But when you focus more on the negative space here, okay, you will now see two people facing each other, and that is now called a negative space. Okay, sometimes it's also called illusion. All right, next we have this kind of space. Space is very important. Spacing is very important in the art because it can also convey meaning, which we will be discussing in the next lessons that we are going to take. We have a space like this, or a space like this, where the elements are overlapping, or this one, where several elements are overlapping. Okay, that's space. Space is how the different elements or objects in an art is distributed in the artwork. Okay, next element of art, we have color. This is very important. For without color, it's very hard to come up with an artwork. Imagine watching a black and white TV show. It's far more exciting when you watch a colored TV show, right? And color is very, very important for us because without color, we'll not be able to express our feelings or to send out meanings, because color can also depict meaning. Okay, color can also show emotions or different messages. So it's a very important element of the arts. And without light, we cannot see color. Why? Because color is the colors is a breakdown of white light. White light, when it goes through a prism, you will see the different colors. You will technically see the colors of the rainbow, the Roy G. Biv colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Okay, but when we talk about colors, we are going to also discuss about hue, value, and intensity. When we say hue, it is the actual color. It's the actual name of the color, hue. Okay? And when we talk about hues, we have different types. We have primary colors, we have secondary colors, and we have a truck passing through. Okay, we have basically we have three hues. We have the primary colors, we have the secondary colors, and we have the tertiary colors. We have these. Okay, when we talk about primary colors, basically the primary colors are yellow, red, and blue, while the secondary colors, yellow, green, orange, and purple. And the tertiary colors are the colors that are in the middle of those colors. We will be discussing them further during our next lessons. Okay? Basically, hue, again, is the actual color of the color. It suggests the name of the color. If it's blue, it's blue. If it's yellow, it's yellow. If it's red or if it's yellow-orange, okay, it's just hue. But when we say value, okay, It is the brightness or darkness of color. The value is the brightness or darkness of color. Let's see. Okay. There you go. Okay. See. Okay. Let's go back. All right. You see this? This is yellow. But what is the value presented here? We have light yellow up to the there, up to the more vivid yellow. So basically the value is the brightness again or darkness of color, if it's bright yellow or light yellow. Okay, we'll be discussing value later on, as it is also considered an element, a separate element of art. All right, but here we're talking about the value of color. If it's dark, it's dark, or if it's bright, it's bright. Okay, next we have the intensity of color. And when we say intensity, it's basically if it's bright or dull. If it's a bright or warm color, or if it's a dull or cool color. All right. Let's see. Okay. There. Bright colors versus dull colors. Bright colors are also called warm colors. Usually it's in the family of red colors. Red to yellow. While cool colors are basically colors that are in the family of green up to the violet. Okay? We'll be discussing it with the color wheel in the next lessons that we have. All right? If it's in the family of warm colors, you can very well tell if it's warm, because if it's red or in the family of red colors, it has yes. Okay? And if it's from green to purple or it's blue, it's considered cool or dull color. Okay? All right. The next element of art that we are going to discuss is value. Okay, value. Again, just like in colors, the value of the color is the lightness or brightness of the color. But when we say value as an element of art, it refers to the gradual change of lightness or darkness of a color that would suggest dimension or depth. Okay? See, value. Okay, see on this example, on this part, it is darker. And on this part, it is lighter. With the introduction of light, it makes color, or it makes the side of the artwork lighter than the ones that is not hit, or that is not that is not hit by light. All right, or that's not illuminated. Okay, basically value is the gradual change of lightness or darkness of the color, from light to dark. Value, that's what we call value as an element of art. Okay, let's proceed to the last part of our lesson, the texture, the last element among the elements of art. We have texture. Texture, you can very well define it. It can be real or implied. It can be experienced through the sense of touch. All right? And you can experience texture, okay, by feeling the work of art. And as I have mentioned, it can be real or implied. All right? Okay, the surface quality or feel of an object, its smoothness, roughness, or softness. As you can see in the illustration, they present different textures. But can you tell if it's real or implied? If you can feel it yourself, like personal on a personal level, it is real. But if you can just see it, just like how you touch it on the screen of your phone or your monitor of your computer or laptop, it's just implied. It's considered real if you are really touching it and feeling it. And if it's not real or it's just shown to you through an illustration, it is implied texture. Let's see. What can you see on the illustration? It's a combination or it's just a pattern of different ropes. And by just seeing it, you see you can very well tell that it is rough, right? But when you touch your screen, it is actually not, because you're actually not touching the rope, but you are touching the screen of your computer or your cell phone, right? So if you can be able to touch a rope, that would be real texture. But if you can not touch it, or you can just see it over the screen of your cell phone, that is considered implied texture. Okay, let's review. The building blocks of art, or the different elements of art, we have line. Okay, can you recall the different kinds of lines that we discussed, or the different properties of lines that we discussed? Shape. We have geometrical and organic. Geometrical shapes are those that have that are from mathematical propositions, and organic shapes are the ones that are occurring in nature, and mostly irregular shapes. Form, they are just basically a combination of shapes but has another dimension, which is depth. Space is how the different elements are distributed across the work of art. Color, of course, we have different topics about color. We have hue, value, and intensity. Value, it's basically the lightness or darkness of an artwork or an aspect in an artwork. And of course, we have texture. And with the combination of these elements, we can be able to come up with art. So there you have them, the building blocks of art, the elements of art. Thank you for watching.